olmak üzere birçok
Turkey has been continuously fighting terrorism for years. We have won many victories against all terrorist organizations, but it is not enough. Unfortunately, many terrorist organizations, especially Daesh, continue to exist beyond our borders, abusing our religion, killing people with brutal violence, and destroying communities and entire states. They create instability, create chaos. It's not a situation which we can tolerate. We continue in the fight to get rid of this scourge, which is a common problem in Islamic societies, not only in our own country, but beyond our borders. The PKK terrorist organization's wave of violence is about to be crushed. The guardianship role attributed to the YPG terrorists, especially by the US, is used as an excuse to fight against Daesh. If there is a desire to serve another policy by exploiting our Kurdish brothers through the PKK YPG terrorists, we will not allow that either.
Betul Dogan Akkas is an assistant professor of Middle Eastern Studies in Ankara University, and she joins us live from Ankara. Betul, thank you for being with us. Firstly, Hakan Fidan today made some strong statements regarding the regional fight against terrorism. What were the key takeaways from his remarks, especially concerning Turkey's stance on the PKK and Daesh terror groups?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think his statements since the very early days of change in Syrian politics since the 8th of December has actually two grounds. First one, as he mentioned today, Turkey has a very solid and quite clear statement of terrorism, which could have effect in Turkish security in the borders and in domestic politics. So what does he mean actually is more referring to a security consortium with the current governance in Syria to secure the border, to secure the Kurdish component of Syrian politics, and of course the Turkish domestic politics. And this is a joint understanding of security that needs to be established by two parties. And this is a very important angle in his understanding and Turkish understanding in the Syrian security or the current policymaking. The second angle that he was actually mentioning of Daesh and PKK in his statement is more bringing a regional perspective. So once you have a stable and secure politics in Syria, including all the components of society, without having a ground of terrorism, without accusing certain groups for providing insecurity to the society, then there might be a stable regional politics, because Syrian politics since 2011 has made certain instabilities and insecurities in Middle East because of the refugee issues, transnational terrorism problems, and of course many other socioeconomic problems that Middle East was handling since the end of Arab revolts. So his statement has an approach for Turkish security in Middle East and in domestic politics, and a security approach for Middle East politics to secure the ground from the terrorist groups that might provide or propose further issues for the Syrian security.
There was also talk of international powers having hidden agendas in the region. How did Fidan frame Turkey's concerns about foreign influence, particularly regarding terror groups like the PKK and Daesh?
This is a critical angle because what we know since the very early days of transnational terrorism in Middle East, in any other part of the world, if those groups, if they don't have proper economic or military support from an external power, they actually don't have enough energy that might provide them equipments for fighting or strategic intelligence, etc. This is an international problem with all terrorist organizations. They are usually supported with the foreign powers in terms of their equipment and in terms of their strategic intelligence. And in this regard, Turkish role or Turkish understanding in terms of Daesh and PKK is to secure the region from this foreign interference, which might actually back up those organizations, these terrorist groups. if the Turkish policymakers and the current rulers, policymakers in Syria, if they cut the connection of these groups with the external powers in terms of their military and financial support, then they could easily diminish their support or their expansion in the ground. So this is why I think his statements are actually referring sort of maybe another circle of negotiations with certain powers to cut off their support, and also maybe more sort of physical fight in the ground to end up that support.
Betul Dogan Akkas, Assistant Professor of Middle Eastern Studies in Ankara University. Thank you so much for your analysis.